Welcome in, everyone. This is Spitting Fire. Glad to have you in on this Friday before NFL Wildcard weekend. Is that what we're still calling it, Connor, now that we got 7 teams?
Yep, definitely wild card weekend.
Yep. Special week, crazy week. Bitcoin broke 42K today. Shout out to myself. Shout out to Connor. He's taking a few weeks off from drinking, so no R&R beer if you're watching on YouTube. But we've got the shirts on. R&R
Yep.
sponsor, best beer
Yep.
in the business. Go have a
Loving it.
sip.
Loving it.
And we're ready to go.
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
Okay, let's get it right to it. Colts at the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is going to be a blowout. Josh Allen and the Bills are playing as great as any team out there right now. They look awesome. Josh Allen is such a beast. He's finally, like, his football skills have matched up with his physical talent to where he's now accurate. He's making smart decisions. I think he's starting to put it together. So, I mean, I hope this is a trend of he can be good now moving forward permanently. And that's not, just a one-off year, but man, he looks awesome this year. I like the Bills, and Bills by a touchdown. So I'm definitely taking Bills 6.5 and Bills to win.
Yeah, I love this. Some of these lines seem like very favorable to underdogs.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know if that's just Vegas is hesitant because anything can happen. I don't know if that's Lamar the last 2 years disappointing when he's a big favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the playoffs are close. You don't usually see huge blowouts. Even, Tampa Bay, which we'll get to eventually, isn't as crazy as it definitely could be. So yeah, you see a lot closer spreads in games when we get to the playoff time.
Yeah. So I'm taking Bills. 6.5 seems low. I mean, this team's been on an absolute tear. What have they won? Like 9 of their last 10. They've covered like almost every game in that stretch.
Yep.
And Josh Allen's just been outstanding. I think he's an easy MVP candidate. Don't think he's going to get it. I think Aaron Rodgers will. But again, I made my stand for the season on Pittsburgh when we weren't even sure if we're going to win the division a couple weeks back when I said, Phillip Rivers, he cannot play in the cold. Well, it turns out he could kind of play in the cold. But listen, this week, 36 degrees and sunny. That's about 2 or 3 degrees lower than it was in Pittsburgh. That 2 to 3 degrees, it's huge. Phillip's not going to play well. He's not going to be back in Indianapolis next week. Fired up for the Bills to just steamroll the Colts.
Yep, I totally agree. And the thing that's super underrated is the Bills defense has actually finally gotten it together. I think over the past 8 weeks of the season, they've been a top 5 or top 6 defense. So, now that they can pair what they've had is an elite offense with that defense we've known the Bills to have the past couple of years, I think that they're a very scary team. I think Chiefs definitely are going to be number 1. I don't think anybody can question that they're the number 1 team right now, but I think the Bills are probably number 2, right? I think probably tied with the Packers, I think, are number 2 or maybe even a little ahead of the Packers.
Yeah, I agree. And you're taking them straight up and you're taking them on the line, right?
Yep. You as well.
Yep. And I think the big thing here with Josh Allen, and then we'll get to it with Lamar Jackson, is these quarterbacks haven't won playoff games and they haven't played well. And they've actually been the reason that their teams have lost playoff games. And I think this year is going to be the year that might switch.
Yeah, and Josh Allen, I think definitely, not as bad as Lamar. I think he played okay in that last year's game. I don't remember. I know he made that crazy trying to lateral play that looked horrible coming down the stretch, but I feel like, he got into overtime with the team his first time in the playoffs. I think, that's a good start, whereas Lamar has been a favorite both times in the playoffs and came out and laid just a dud both times against the Chargers 2 years ago and then the Titans last year. So I think, let's give Josh Allen a little bit more credit, but I'm excited. Also, you're seeing, 7-1 at home. I think that's a tough team. And most underrated thing, how have we not even talked about this? Bills Mafia. They're back. They got Bills Mafia there. They're going to be
How many are they letting in the stadium?
I don't know, like 5,000, but how many are they letting in the parking lot? That's all I care about. We need the tailgate, Bills Mafia. I'm excited.
They're probably going to let like 40,000 in the parking lot. And then the 5,000 that make it in are going to feel like 40,000.
Oh, yeah. That's all that matters. They'll drink enough for 40,000. So let's do it.
The game that got rowdy this year with not that many fans, I think it was Browns, Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
You could feel that one a little bit. I think they were taking out the normal sound they pump in. You're like, wow, this is getting loud.
Yep, definitely.
All right, that's enough of that. Next up, we got your Rams at the Seahawks. They found a way to squeak in.
Yep.
Didn't have avoided a worst case scenario. I think Kyler Murray getting hurt really helped you guys, but the defense has just been so staunch.
Yeah. Keep going.
All right. I'm going to lay one out here, Connor. I told you I hadn't picked this before, and I'm going to go Rams here.
Let's go.
I'm going to take the Rams straight up, and I'm going to take them on the line. I think the Rams are going to play some staunch D, and they're going to get the boost on offense they haven't seen in the last few weeks. You can only have so many down weeks in a row on offense when you have Sean McVay as your coach.
100%. I think great analysis there. Now, I'll say last week, I think, saying getting lucky that Kyler Murray was hurt. I think you also got to remember that Jared Goff was hurt and that was unlucky. So I think that's a little bit of a give and take.
No, but we knew that. And Kyler was for the nagging injury and got hurt.
He almost didn't go into the game. But I think that the Rams defense is playing better than any defense in the NFL right now. I think they're so hot. Jalen Ramsey is terrifying how good he is. DK Metcalf might not catch a ball this week. He's got when Jalen Ramsey is guarding him this season, DK Metcalf has one catch for 11 yards. And I saw it. It's a play where he blocked and then squeaked out and just caught a little crosser for 11 yards. That's his only catch against Jalen Ramsey. And he's ran something like 57 routes against him and he's got one catch. So I think DK's out of the game. And then you can now kind of bracket cover Tyler Lockett. And I think they're pretty much covered right there. Rams defense looks awesome. Aaron Donald, had another defensive player of the year quality season. I don't think he'll win it. It's kind of getting to that territory where, LeBron or MJ, where it's like you could give Aaron Donald the defensive player of the year every single year and he deserves it. You could definitely make a case for it. This year, it's probably going to go to your boy, TJ Watt or Xavier Howard, which understandable. Get it. I'm not going to fight that, but Aaron Donald's so good. And then on offense, I think the big debate here is, do I want Wolford or do I want Jared Goff? And I'm not totally sure who I think the better option for the Rams are. I think that McVay, though, has done a really smart thing this week, though, where he's not letting on at all who's going to be the quarterback. So Seattle's having to game plan for two totally different quarterbacks. Wolford is more mobile, can get outside the pocket and do some things with his legs, whereas Goff is just going to sit in the pocket and pick you apart if he can get some time. So should be a fun game. I'm excited. I think the Rams defense, like you're saying, is going to keep it it's going to be a low scoring game. Over under is only 42. And I think the under is going to even hit on that. I think it's going to be such a low scoring game. And I think the Rams can squeak one out. These teams, normally you see too, like these games we're talking about right now on a Saturday, it's a little bit tough to game plan for a team that you haven't seen or that you don't know on a short notice, especially because you think during the regular season, if you have to have a short week, you're still game planning weeks ahead. You're having your scouts look at them and figure that out. You have no idea who you're playing in the playoffs that first week. So the Rams kind of got lucky where they're playing a Seahawks teams that they know inside and out, that they've played so many different times. And the Seahawks have to deal with that little wrinkle of what quarterback's playing for the Rams. I like the Rams in this game, and I definitely like them outright.
And if the Rams win this game, they are 100% going to Green Bay unless Chicago wins, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm rooting for the Bears for sure. But yeah, I think the more likely situation is going to Lambeau. Lambeau's letting fans in. Also, I don't know if you saw that. They're letting in about 7,000 fans. So that'll be fun. If it's a cold game, the Rams are screwed. Goff can't play in the cold. So I'm hoping for like a mid-January heat storm in Lambeau because the Rams are screwed if they don't get that.
Yeah, you guys will need that. It's some of these teams that have to travel through cold weather, and we can move on to the Bucks at Washington if you're cool with that.
Yep.
Is that I don't see Tom Brady traveling at his age through all on the road in all these cold games without a bye either.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's going to be the killer for the Bucks. He went to a warm weather place, but that doesn't help you when you don't get any home field. So they're going to be playing on the road these entire playoffs. Can they, until they face the Rams in the NFC Championship game, but can they stay competitive in cold weather when you have a lot of guys that aren't, familiar or comfortable doing that? I think the other thing to notice with the Bucks is they haven't done well in primetime this year. I think they're like 1-3 or 1-4 in primetime this year. And they're playing that 5:15 nighttime primetime game. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I think, from my pick here, I'm taking Washington to cover, but Tampa Bay to win.
Okay, me too. I think The thing here is, like with Washington, I can't see them pulling this off when Rivera is saying during the week, yeah, we might split time between QBs because we're worried about the pass protection holding up and just how ferocious the pass rush is and the condition of Alex Smith.
Yeah, I think it's going to help, though. Devin White's out, who's the best pass rusher on the Bucks. Shaq Barrett's pretty good, too, but he hasn't been incredible this year. So I think it helps the Washington football team that Devin White's out. But, yeah, I think that the Bucks are just too talented to not win this game. But I think that's not going to serve them too well. They're going to have to go. Their best hope is that they get to go either to the Dome and play the Saints Or, I mean, they might, it could be an interesting game if all of a sudden, well, I guess, yeah, they'd have to play the Saints. But if they don't, if somehow the Bears can beat the Saints, the Bucks would host a playoff game. They'd host the Rams next week.
Right.
So that would be crazy.
And I think that's what you're hoping for the Rams and for the Bucks, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to do that. Let's go. I'll go play him again in Tampa Bay and beat him again.
Yeah. And Chase Young says he wants Tom, but I just can't see the Bucks blowing this game straight up. But I do think it'll be closer than we think, especially after a few weeks of the Bucks blowing people out. I see a little bit of regression there.
Yeah, and fun stat I heard today is that in the last 4 games that an 8-8 team is in the playoffs, they're 4-0 and 3-1 against the spread. So that's just something, a little nugget for you right there to think about.
Fascinating. All right, we're blazing through these. Starting off Sunday, I'm excited for this. Ravens at the Titans. I'm showing Baltimore favored by 3. They're at Tennessee. Obviously, everyone remembers last year when the Titans came in as the big underdogs against the Ravens off the bye and crushed them. It was like 28-12 or something. Lamar had a ton of turnovers, looked really bad. And if he loses this week, it will be his 3rd straight playoff loss. He's never won a playoff game. And I was really overreacting to that and thinking about how big of a deal it would be. But then I saw that Peyton Manning had the same thing happen to start his career.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Ravens. They're behind the Bills, probably the hottest team in the NFL right now. I think they look really good lately. So I think they're going to come in and kill them. But, I'd love nothing more than the Titans to come in and win this game. I would love nothing more than that. But I think the Ravens, home field isn't as big of a deal this year. It's a close game. These are evenly matched teams. They played already this season. I think they did, right? Yeah, they played already this season. So, I mean, I'd love to say the Titans are going to win this game, but I think that the Ravens are going to win it, and they're going to cover as well in my book.
Yeah, I'm excited for how the game script plays out.
Totally.
Because if it plays out the wrong way, it may be very close.
Right. Well,
if Tennessee gets to a lead and then Derrick Henry starts chugging off big runs and blowing up clock, and Lamar has a few weird plays where he uses 20 yards on a sack here or there, it's going to come down to the last play.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the biggest thing. If the Titans can score first, I think they win this game. Because then if they can score first, and then if they can somehow get a stop on that next drive, they're just going to run the clock down the rest of the game and just going to slow it down. And Derrick Henry is going to rush for 5,000 yards in the game. And I think that it's going to be, a slow but very interesting and tactical game, like you're saying, how that game script plays out.
And he hit 2,000 yards. We never did our bet. What were we going to do, Connor?
I have no idea, but I did win that barely. So that was awesome. I didn't think he had to get like 230 yards last week, and he got like 250 or something. So yeah, that was awesome. Good for him.
And they almost didn't make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
They were watching that against the Texans.
Yep. That would have been.
I was going to go to overtime and then just a bomb to AJ Brown.
Yep. That was crazy. That definitely should have gone to overtime, and then who knows what happens in that situation. But yeah, great win by the Titans. But I think, yeah, Ravens win this. Who do you have in this game?
I have the same thing. I have Baltimore. I have them on the line and the victory.
Love it. Love to hear that.
Man, we got to get some disagreement. Have we disagreed on one thing yet?
Nope, which scares me.
Yeah, that scares me. Break out the raspberry white claw. We're gonna have to break this.
I think I might have one left. I might have a watermelon. Which
stick it. You got to stick it in the. Just stick it in the view of the screen.
All right, I'll go get it. Let me go get it. Okay. You talk. I'm getting it.
All right. So our next one in the afternoon is Bears at the Saints. Bears squeaked into the playoffs.
This is a great time for you to stop and talk about Bitcoin while I'm getting this, because I know you want to rant about Bitcoin.
All right, I'll rant about Bitcoin. So the thing is, everyone, you got to understand that with Bitcoin, back in March, it was at 3K, right? When all assets deflated, it went down to 3K, and then we saw a run up to around 10K. Just like all the stocks went double, triple. And from there, we're at 10K. I started everyone at 3K in March. So I was talking about how everything crashed in March, the equities, Bitcoin was down at 3K. We're back at 10K. So we're in the summer.
That's
where we're at with Bitcoin. Connor's back.
Love it. Update. We have a ruby red grapefruit. That's all we got. So,
all right. I don't know what that means.
I like grapefruit.
Is that a good omen?
I think it's a good omen. I like grapefruit.
So Connor, we'll just do this real quick. The thing is, we were at 10K in the summer before you got back, and Bitcoin's now at 42K. Okay.
All right.
Okay. You got me. So that's another 4X.
All right.
They're about 12x right now.
Okay.
Okay. The thing you got to understand, the narrative here is not just the narrative that the Federal Reserve's pumping dollar bills into the economy and it's making all asset prices inflate. It's that, no, this could be the new world reserve currency.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the first time in history, I'm just telling you the memes, Connor. You don't like this meme. The first time in history that governments and money decouple.
Yeah, it could happen.
You got to give me something.
I hate these conversations. These scare me so much. I don't think that should be the case. I think that just, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, that'd be great. I think governments are corrupt. So if you can have that, that'd be awesome. But I don't know.
Yeah, but you seem stressed. Are you worried that if that doesn't happen, or if that does happen, that it'll just help China?
I just think everything right now is inflated. I don't think any money right now is real. I think that there's no reason that you should be going through a global pandemic and that the stock market should be going up like it has. It makes zero sense. There's zero logic to that. The stock market should have kept going down from March. It had that brief pullback and then it's literally just gone bananas since then. Stocks like Tesla that literally aren't making money, that aren't even performing well, are going insane. Elon Musk is now the richest man in the world. Nothing makes sense. And I hate when that happens. This is the ultimate sign that a recession is coming, is when things make zero sense as to what's going on. When all of a sudden trading cards are selling for a ton of money, nothing makes sense. We're in a bubble. Everything's about to crash soon. Everybody's investing in Bitcoin. It's going to go to $0 soon.
Yeah, but the thing you got to understand is Joe Biden's going to throw another $3 trillion. So we might have another year of this insanity.
I don't think
so. Tesla's at 800 bill right now. It might go to not just $1 trillion. It might go to $2 trillion.
How? It doesn't do anything.
It made no sense when it went to 200 billion, Connor. I sold my Tesla for like a small profit in like mid 2019.
This is what makes
it's been like 20x up since. Tesla was up 8% today.
It makes no sense. It makes literally zero sense. It's the most frustrating thing. To be honest, what I think it is I think it's all these people on Robinhood now that have gotten into stock trading, that because the stock market's going so crazy and they know 5 stocks. And so they see, oh, Tesla, I'm going to go buy that. And I think it's just pumping money into the stock. And I think it's not realistic. And then everything's going to crash because it's not going to make any money.
So you know the ticker SPY, right?
Yeah.
Which is for the whole S&P. So
yeah.
Tesla now trades more volume than SPY every day.
That's exactly okay. So
the entire S&P 500
just proved my point. There's
which that makes your point that like there's all these people who are being brought in. You know, we talk about democratizing finance, bringing more people into it. That's great. Robinhood's good narrative is that, hey, we're bringing people in, we're giving these zero fees. But if they're not educated, they have these 5 stocks, and then it's all going into Tesla. And Tesla now has more volume than the entire stock, the rest of the stock market.
It's the stupidest thing ever. And I literally heard a story on Tuesday of a buddy of mine. I did not know this. I heard it from a different buddy, but that he was doing the exact thing that every person is probably doing right now. If he got into trading, and he was trading currencies. And he said over the course of like 3 weeks, he was like doubling his money every single day. So then he put his life savings into it, lost all of it, and now he's broke. Because this guy literally did what everybody probably is going to do. All these people who don't actually understand what's going on in the finance markets, which to be honest, I don't either. And that's why I'm not doing anything crazy and investing in things that I don't fully understand, is because I know that I'm going to lose. Whereas if I know what I'm doing and I understand what's happening and why stocks going up or going down, I know I'm at least not going to lose. I might have that opportunity cost, but I'm not going to go to zero. And I think that's the problem right now, is so many people are seeing, oh, wow, I've made $1,000 a day for the past 3 weeks. I'm going to extrapolate that out and I can be making $365K a year. I'm going to go quit my job tomorrow. And it's like, that's never going to happen. And I think you're going to hear so many stories of that through this pandemic. And I think, to be honest, that's the Dave Portnoy effect, that he came in here and made all this money, or at least he says he's making all of this money through stock trading. But there's also a difference in the volumes that he's able to do it in as compared to somebody like me, where I don't also have the limit of risk, where he could lose $10 million and he won't bat an eye at that. If I lose $10,000, that's a very different argument than him losing $10 million. So I just
think he made a lot of money. I think he made about $2 million at the end of the day.
Right. But
he always is like 1 or 2%.
Right. But he makes it seem like he's making so much. And again, for people who aren't educated or understanding what's happening, he's saying, oh my gosh, I made $1 million. I made $2 million. Yeah, but you made 1%. That's nothing. You literally lost to inflation. You lost money by doing that.
Right.
And I'm sure he did, but people are hearing, oh, wow, Portnoy just made $1 million doing that. Yeah, but if you have the money to put $10 million on something, you should be able to do that as well. So this is what scares me so much that this is happening, is because I think we're headed for some really, really bad times coming up soon.
Oh, I 100% agree. And offline, I gave Connor a whole chapter of a book to read about why that might be happening. But I think these anecdotes illustrate that even better because, I mean, have you heard of FinTalk? Have you heard the term FinTalk? You'd hate it.
Oh, I know.
Financial TikTok.
Yeah, no, I do.
And it's literally just video memes of people like talking about how and it's the same thing in cryptocurrency. It always goes to the lowest common denominator. Like not only is investing in Bitcoin risky, like you said, it could go to zero. No, people want to invest in the even riskier thing. They want to invest in Dogecoin and Ripple. And so all these people are putting their life savings into Ripple, saying it's going to be bigger than Tesla. And then the SEC came out with a complaint and it dropped like 70% in a few days. And people are just toast. And it's like a guy driving his truck. That's why you feel bad. It's like a truck driver.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem is you have these people like, now I've been fortunate that I've been trading stocks since I was literally like in 7th grade. I started getting into the stock market. And so I've been burned enough with lower dollar amounts to where I'm not getting into these situations that I'm going to lose my life savings now. I lost my life savings when I was 15, which was like $1,000. So it's not a big deal. Whereas now, if that happens, that's a much bigger issue for me. And so that's what just scares me so much about all of these things. Stocks only go up, right? Portnoy stinks. Stocks only go up. They don't only go up. That's not how it works. And it does work that way now. It does work that way if you can hold for 15 years. Yeah, absolutely. You're always going to make money on that. And that's the same thing. That's literally what you're hearing right now with people talking about stocks and cryptocurrencies and everything going on. It's literally the same as the housing market in 2007. People are saying there's no way housing prices always go up. You will always make money on your house. So why not take a second mortgage out? Why not do all of these things? And then it's like, well, yeah, it does always go up in the long term. Housing prices are up from 2007, but you're going to have to be able to weather that storm for all of this time until you get to the point where housing prices are up. It's just insane. And it's like so scary to me. It scares me every single day.
Yeah, on these big boom bust debt cycles, though, the blow off the top is always bigger than you can imagine. So you say there's no way that Tesla could hit a 2 trillion. I'm telling you, man, maybe we'll have to make a bet.
It probably will. It probably will. Yeah.
And then it could blow down to literally 50 bill market cap.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen because that's the thing is they're not a good company. Like that's what people don't understand. Like they don't ever hit production numbers.
Their Elon Musk production numbers are like Chrysler.
Yeah.
And when's the last time you've seen a Chrysler? So I did a cross country road trip, Connor, and outside of California, I saw maybe 1 or 2 Teslas. No one drives them in other states. So we have such a bias here in California because everyone's driving them. It's a very wealthy state. Just there's a lot of tax credit incentives to do it. It's almost much more of a status symbol here. When I was in Florida, people were driving Mercedes, BMW, all these other cars, Lambo, all these other cars that are much more like Miami. You would, oh yeah, that's like a car someone would drive in Miami, but you just wouldn't see it in these other states.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's the problem is that they're not doing anything that's revolution. Like they're not doing all these things. And so Elon Musk just keeps talking. And it's like, dude, what? Like back all these things up and hit your production numbers. Stop trying to do all these crazy things and just do what you're saying you should do. And so it's so frustrating when a company like that, like it just doesn't make any sense. If it was a company, like Apple or like Amazon, how Amazon's going insane. Okay. I get that one. That one makes sense to me. I understand that they own 90% of e-commerce. All right. Fair enough. And during the pandemic, everybody's buying stuff off Amazon. Fair. Got it. That one makes sense. Tesla makes no sense.
I know, but it does make sense in that you're saying how all these investors are behaving. And then Elon Musk is sort of doing the same thing with his talk. Their company is very representative of what this whole thing is.
Totally. And that's true. I understand why it's doing this, but it doesn't actually there's no actual sense to why this is happening. It's just I think it's a lot of dumb people investing because they have nothing better to do because it's a pandemic.
Yeah, I agree. Bears at the Saints. We got the 140 game.
What a transition right there, by the way.
No one cares.
Just in the middle of it, all that. All right. So Bears at Saints. I love it. That's great.
That's how it is, man. I mean, if you're listening to this, if you're one of us, man, you talk finance, you talk sports. It's like one sentence to the next, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This was
One
literally
hand, the
us
other
on
hand.
Sunday watching
That's our
football.
life.
This is us on Sunday watching football.
Yeah.
It was exactly
Yeah.
like this.
Bears at Saints, 140. Line of 10, man. That's big. I'm worried. I
Bears
might
are
be
so
changing my
bad.
pick. Here, you talk.
Yeah, well, the thing I'm most excited about for this is it's the Nickelodeon broadcast. They're broadcasting this on Nickelodeon, so I'm excited
No,
for
they're
that.
not.
Yep, yes, they are. Iron Eagle's son is doing it with somebody else. It's being broadcast on Nickelodeon and CBS.
So it's
Yeah. Because they're all owned by Viacom. But
you're gonna watch the Nickelodeon.
Absolutely. If I can figure out how to stream the Nickelodeon stream, I'm absolutely watching the Nickelodeon one. Why not? This is the first time I've ever done it. I might as well. I hate my pick on this, but now that we got the White Claw out, I'm going with the Bears. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't like it, but I don't think the Saints are 10 points better than the Bears. I think the Saints are definitely better, but I don't think Drew Brees is that good. I think the Saints also crumble in the playoffs somehow every year. So,
I know when you have to sit down and do these picks, I had to look myself in the eye and think of that Vikings game with Stephon Diggs up in Minnesota when they were a huge favorite. And I had to look myself in the eye and go, do I really think the Saints are going to win by 10? Do I even think they're necessarily going to win? Yes, right. I'm going to go with the Saints straight up, but I'm going to take the Bears and I'm going to take those points.
Teo, we're doing the same thing here. I'm doing the exact same. I think because you look at the last 3 years, though, of how the Saints have done in the playoffs. 3 years ago, you had the Stephon Diggs catch, so the Minneapolis Miracle. 2 years ago, you had the Rams defensive pass interference that didn't get called. And then last year you had the Eagles beating the Saints, that they were huge underdogs, but they're like fourth string quarterback. Oh, no. Who'd they lose to last year? They lost to somebody. The Eagles were favorites and they lost to somebody. But yeah, the Saints had a horrible loss last year in the playoffs too. So however that happens, they just always find a way to lose in gut-wrenching fashion. I think that the Bears are going to keep it close, but I don't think, and by keep it close, I think under 10 points. But I think that the Saints absolutely win this game. They have to win one game. I don't know. Now, that's one of those that I look at, okay, if somehow the Bears, I guess the Rams, there's no situation in which the Rams play the Saints next week. But
the Saints lost to the Vikings again last year. That's what we were missing.
Yes, which shouldn't have happened. No, that was a game that made no sense. Yeah. So that's just one of those that I think the Saints are kind of doomed right now. And what's crazy to think about is that we could be watching Drew Brees' last game, because he said he's retiring after the season. So if they lose to the Bears,
he's at peace with it. He's not trying to force it.
Yeah, he said he genuinely retired last year. Like, told the team he wasn't coming back, and then just like in the middle of the offseason was like, okay, I want to come back. But I think after breaking every rib in his body, he's going to be like, I'm kind of done with this. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
No, he doesn't need another Super Bowl like Peyton Manning, who was throwing ducks at the end.
Right, and
how did Peyton Manning win that Super Bowl?
I'm hoping the Rams can replicate that model this year. But the thing is, if I put you like, okay, you just got your knee surgery. If I said, hey, you've had a 20-year career in the NFL, you have every single passing record, you have a Super Bowl, are you okay with retiring instead of having to recover and hopefully not get injured again, but potentially have to go through all this again? I think you go, I'm okay. I don't need to do it anymore. And I think that's kind of where Brees is at, is he said, hey, I'm going to give it one last run. I'm going to go at this. And then I'm kind of okay with being done after that.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens. That game, that's probably the game I'm least excited for, even though it's on Nickelodeon. I'm
excited for the Nickelodeon broadcast, but I'm not excited for the game.
No. Yeah. If we're ranking these games, I think my number one excitement is, I'm going to go Ravens Titans.
Yeah. Yep.
2, I'm going to go Rams Seahawks.
Let's go.
3, I'm going to go Bucks Washington. Just because because you have Tom Brady, you have all the like, oh my gosh, what if he loses again in the wild card weekend, right?
Yep.
4, I'm going to go Colts Bills, just because I'm excited to see if the Bills can blow them out in all the Josh Allen hype.
Okay.
5, I'm going to go Steelers Browns, and then 6 Bears Saints.
So I'd have all the same. I would switch Bills and the Steelers. I think Steelers Browns is going to be a good game. I don't think Bills Colts is a good game. I think the Bills are going to blow them out. So I think that the Steelers Browns, I think that's actually going to end up being a good game.
Yeah, I have more excitement for the first quarter of Bills Colts than Steelers Browns.
That's fair. I'm excited to watch the Bills play, but I don't think that that's going to be as good.
Won't necessarily need to finish the game.
Right. So yeah, I mean, are we moving on to the Steelers game?
Yeah, let's do it.
If the Browns had their coaches, if the Browns just had Stefanski, I think they win this game. I do.
I don't think so. I think the Steelers win this game regardless. I'm taking the Browns, I think it's going to be closer than 6 points, but I'm taking the Steelers to win outright. I think the Browns negativity here is a little too much. I think this is a game where the playoffs do matter, and the Browns are going to get very up for this. First time in the playoffs in what is it? How many years?
2002.
2002, 18 years, 19 years, however you count it. Even though they have these players out, I think this game will come down to the end. The Steelers have lost 4 of 5, Connor. They haven't done much.
I know, which makes me hate even more that I'm taking the Steelers to cover and win. I think they are. I think the Browns are still the Browns, and I think not having Stefanski, unless here's my only caveat with this, unless somehow the NFL changes the rules or something where Stefanski can coach from a box, or Stefanski can somehow coach, which he can't.
It's not going to happen.
No, it won't. But if somehow, that's my only caveat. If somehow he's able to coach this game, then I'll take the Browns to at least cover. But if not, I'm going to take Pittsburgh to win, because I also am excited to then see Pittsburgh play Buffalo next week and just get throttled by the Bills. So I think that's my prediction for all of that.
Yeah, I'll have to hope that Josh Allen would just drop an absolute dud in that game, because
that's your only hope.
Yeah,
that's your only hope.
Yeah, we're supposed to be potentially getting some players back. We might be getting Splain back. When I say we, were talking the Steelers. Splain might be coming back. A few of the other players who've been hurt for a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I don't think this would ever be close for the Browns. I think what's interesting with Stefanski is he gets to talk to them before the game, and then he's done. Mm-hmm. It's weird. Like, there's no telecommunication allowed.
So right, and that's why
a Zoom call at halftime to the players. I don't know why that is. What is the reason for that?
I have no idea, but I think that's exactly what I mean. If somehow they let him even zoom in at halftime, or if they let him like have a mic to the offensive coordinator on the sideline from his house or something, like if any of those things get allowed somehow, which it probably won't, that changes my pick. But it's crazy that they won't let him do that. Let him coach from a scissor lift up there where there's no one within 30 yards of him. Let him be the only fan on the 5th deck and just coach from the all 22 camera. Like, I don't care what he does, but if somehow you can get him in there, I think that changes the entire complexity of the game. But yeah, I think the Steelers are going to blow them out.
Yep. Man, that wraps it up. Six games. It went by fast.
I know. It's sad. Football's coming to an end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's interesting, I got a question for you. Which do you think is going to be worse, 2020 or 2021?
2020.
You think so?
Yeah.
You just gave me a lot of hype on the potential crash or the economy.
Yeah. If I can leave my house, I don't care. Nothing's as bad as 2020 if I'm allowed to leave my house. Yeah,
because you have savings. I'm not asking for you. Okay. So for you answer that. I think 2021 could be worse than 2020 if we have a giant economic recession.
I think we're already in an economic recession, though. That's the problem. This is the disconnect with everything, is that I think we are. I think it's just the stock, because this is what Trump always says. It's like, oh my gosh, the stock market's at all-time highs. People are making so much money.
Fake.
But that's my point, is that I think the amount of people that can invest in the stock market is so minimal that the people that have benefited from this rise is so small. I think that all of the small businesses, it's what we always talk about. Small businesses are hurting. All of those people were already in a recession. So you look at 2008, it was all of the small restaurants closing, the small businesses closing, all of those things. That's already happening. So I already think we're in a recession for the normal people. We're just economically still making money. So I don't think it's going to get much worse from that perspective. I think it's those big companies are going to start catching up. But I think I don't know. And I don't even know how that works. Cause to be honest, it's only going to be even the big finance companies. Like my company, we've already hit our hard times and we're starting to rebound from that. We had to have our round of layoffs and all that stuff. So it's not like this is like
a medical device company.
Yeah. A huge medical device company. And you'd think the most recession-proof company possible, we got hit by it. So it's like, it's going to happen to everybody. And I think it's already started to happen. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously it can always get worse, right? It can always get worse. I'm not saying that we're at the end, but I don't see that it's going to be like this crazy new thing. We've already had people that our unemployment spike. We've already had all of these things. I think as things open up, we're going to start having that, go back, assuming that we don't all die from COVID.
Yeah, I think it's naive. I think it really could get worse because
let me have hope. Let me have hope. I know it probably might
okay. Well, I'll give you hope.
Okay.
So right now, everyone, right, with the Capitol storming a couple days ago, was that Wednesday? It was Friday. Yeah. everyone's talking about how bad it was, this and that, coup, insurrection. The truth is, the real truth, Connor, is that it was the best thing that could ever happen for Democrats. I'm sorry, you watch Game of Thrones, you watch House of Cards, you know 100% that the Republican Party just got shattered. That was the biggest rhetorical boon ever. You have a guy with a Confederate flag walking through the Capitol. That was the best thing that could happen for Democrats, even though it was a lose-lose situation for our country, right? You back Trump into a corner like an injured animal and he lashes out, but he's dead. I mean, Pelosi today was twisting the knife. She's like, I love it. She was twisting the knife, leaking that information on, I called the Joint Chiefs of Staff to make sure he won't try to use the nuclear codes. Okay, that's just twisting the knife. They killed the guy, just obliterated the Republican Party, split in half. So I know you're a big Dem. You guys just completely dominated. Obviously terrible for our country, everything that happened, but you dominated a lose-lose exchange. Obviously we want to turn that into win-win exchanges for our country because we care about everyone in our society. But when you are in that bad situation, man, Democrats just crushed that whole thing. And I can't, we just have to be real. House of Cards, Game of Thrones, it was a bad situation, but it was basically a best case outcome for Democrats.
I get what you're saying, and I agree. I think that you ask almost any Democrat, though, and they would say, I would rather not that happen, right? And I think that's the hard part.
That's why I said the lose-lose exchange.
No, I agree. I think the thing that scares me is you look at this, and I think the way it's going, I think that this is the end of Trump, like you're saying. But the thing that scares me is that this might just be the beginning of the serious stuff that happens. Because once he gets out of office, because I think what happened is, because you saw his video he put out last night, right?
Yeah, that was just desperation. He knew he was crushed. He knew he's dead.
Right. And so I think what they said is, hey, if you don't just play nice for the next 13 days,
you're removed.
We're going to remove you. And so he said, fine, I'll play nice. I'm not going to be the first he'd be the first president, right, to get the 25th Amendment removed from office.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where it's like, okay, he was like, I'm not going to be that person. But as soon as he gets out, I think he's going to get his news network. He's going to get all of the crazies that support him, and they're all going to get together. And you still, even if 75 million that voted for him aren't still going to back him, you're still going to have 30 million. What do you think? I mean, how many of those people do you think?
That's fine, Connor. We live in California where Democrats run the state up and down the ballot.
I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about the country, right? And that's what we keep talking about, is if I look selfishly, because selfishly, having Trump in office is better for me. It's like I have less taxes. I have all these things having Trump in office, but that's not what I want for the country or for the better of the world. And so that's where I get scared, though, that Trump's, as soon as he gets out of office and he has no one telling him to play nice at all, he's just going to go fully off the rails and actually start a revolution, or try to.
Yeah, but if he can only pull 30% of the population, it's actually a good thing for Democrats. I'm not saying it's a good thing for the country, but it makes the country more like California. And we always talk about California has been a leading edge when you study history of trends of the country. If the way things are going now, I see the country trending more towards one party. Well, already was, but there was a big populist backlash on the right. But what's interesting is that I think that the trend of California being, up and down the ballot, all blue, that could happen to the rest of the country because of what happened at the Capitol on Wednesday.
I think 100%
Trump leading the Republican Party is a good thing for Democrats after everything that happened Wednesday.
1,000,000%. And I think everything you're saying is right from the political party standpoint. You're absolutely right. But again, I'm just scared for the country of these things that are happening because I totally agree that it basically just assured, and it showed in that Georgia runoff, that Trump is such a crazy person that Georgia ended up going blue for both senators, because Trump,
also they're like the people who Trump surrogates there, like Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell, they were it was so crazy, like conspiracy theory, that they were saying that they convinced a subset of the Republican electorate not to vote.
Yeah, I mean,
it was insane that they didn't want Republicans to win because it would be bad. Which I couldn't even explain it to the listeners about why that was, but
it's just crazy too. It's just crazy, but I'm excited that I think that the good news is I think the country is hopefully starting to get back to normal, of now that we can have at least unity and starting to get things moving. And Joe Biden's always said since he got elected that he wants to bring healing and bring peace and bring unity back to this country. I think that's what we need right now. We don't need somebody coming back in. And that's where, like, as much as like I like him and I think he's funny, like Bernie Sanders would not have been the right person for this situation. Right. He would have been a horrible person for this because he would have divided the country even more if he comes in as a socialist. We need the most, calm, mellow person to be in charge right now to just say, guys, let's just get back to normal and then go from there.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at the country becoming more like California, there's two ways it could go. It could be that it's like California where everyone kind of accepts the status quo, but it could be for the rest of the country really rejects California, because California, the truth is one of the most unequal places in the country from an economic standpoint. It's one of the places with the greatest inequality, even though it is more has more socialist policies and is more generous to the poor. It is still one of the most unequal places. And I think there's a real chance that, like we talked about with all the equity prices and not everyone getting in the stock market, and then what happens when Tesla crashes, and then everyone who knows what they're doing is fine with the crash, but everyone else is crushed. And then we also have the small businesses exacerbated. Like there's the recall Newsom thing here in California that may or may not get on the ballot and then lose. I think in these other states, there's more chance for that to be something bigger. But I mean, thinking about my experience in Turkey when there was a real coup attempt, I just think that when one side in this 50-50 split society crushes the other side, it takes a few years for the other side to regroup.
I agree.
So I don't think what
question for you on the coup. I think this was more of a real coup than the one you survived.
So there's two ways to think about that.
Conspiracy theory on that.
Yes. So there's two ways to think about that. So if that wasn't a staged coup for Erdogan, who's the president of Turkey, to consolidate more power, if it was real, it was absolutely more of a real coup.
100%. Yes.
If it was staged, it was fake, 100%. And then it's even less than than rioters breaking into the Capitol, of course, because the whole thing was staged.
Right.
But it's really hard to know the truth.
What do you think? I mean, you were as close to the truth as anybody. What do you think?
I tend to go with the intermediate route, which is that it was a real coup that they got tipped on early and then they let it happen.
So they were prepared for it.
They were prepared for it and let it happen and weakened it so that it was guaranteed to fail. Got
it. He saw, okay, they're going to try to give me a coup.
So he got it. Intelligence leaked it to him like a week before. He let it happen. They managed it. Then there was a much smaller faction in the military that went through with it that never had a chance of succeeding, rather than the whole thing was an inside job.
Okay.
Because there really is that section of society. And what's interesting is it's almost the exact reverse of what happened in our society, where the more secular, the left crushed the right on Wednesday. Like the Republican Party split in half, in my view now, and super weakened. The opposite happened in Turkey. The right is Erdogan, and he's more religious and more populist. His population voters wants a more like Islamic society, and they won and they crushed the secularists. But at the end of the day, they have to get along. Like they let girls wear their hair. They have nightclubs. They have alcohol, even though they're Islamic country.
Right.
So they're still much more liberal than like Saudi Arabia or something like that. And they still have to find a way to function where their society is split in half between these secularists and these people who want a more Islamic society.
Right.
So it's interesting. I mean, I think that I wouldn't even call what happened at the Capitol a coup. I think you could make a case that it was insurrection for a few hours, in the sense that they actually happened to stop the electoral vote process. Yeah. But I'm sorry if again, I just can't stand the Instagram stories and stuff where you watch but then you watch House of Cards and Game of Thrones, come on, there was it's hard for me to take that seriously, especially when I, was in Turkey with the US Embassy. There just seems to be a serious, game being played there rhetorically.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think I'll put it this way. If the people who stormed the Capitol and did everything that they did, right? So I'm not going to say Republicans. I'm not even going to say Trump supporters. I'm going to say those people that did that, right?
Well, definitely Trump supporters. You can say that.
those were, but I don't want to say every Trump supporter. I'm saying those people, those radical Trump supporters. If they had it their way, they would have staged a coup there.
100%.
They just did a poor job of it. So that was absolutely an attempted coup.
They're so weak.
Right. Yeah.
Like, at least in Turkey, whether it was real or not, they literally had F-16s bombing things.
Right. Right.
Like, I'm sorry, like, some of them had some guns. What's crazy to me is, like, again, just, I'm going to keep saying it, Game of Thrones, House of Cards, like, be in the real dirty world of politics. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer just fired the head of security for the Capitol. That was literally, he did them the biggest favor by the fact that those people were able to break into the Capitol.
Yep.
The biggest favor. And he's their fall guy. Like, you watch the TV show, like, oh, we're going to cut this guy now.
Even though he still did a bad job. He might have done him a favor, but he still did a bad job.
Terrible job and fired. But still, we can also say he did him the biggest favor.
Yeah, that's fair.
If none of them got into the Capitol, Trump is not as weakened. The Republican Party is not as weakened.
Totally. Yeah, Trump has single-handedly ruined the Republican Party for the next long amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't know what that time is.
At least past the next midterms.
At least. Yeah. It's going to go even more
Democratic. At least till the next presidential election. At
least. And I think if Biden can come in and do a decent job and just not screw anything up, I think at that point he has no shot either. Like, Republicans don't have a chance either.
Yeah, I think so, because incumbents always have an advantage.
Right. Now, what we keep talking about, though, if all of a sudden a huge recession happens, that can be the equalizer. But I think that's the only way that the Republican Party can unify after this.
Yeah. It's just so interesting because, like, when I was in Turkey, the secular liberalists, they were so happy in the middle of the night when the coup was going on. I remember I got this phone call from someone and they're like, this is such good news. And it's just so interesting to have liberals calling you like, a coup is going to take out this bad guy. Again, you have to decide where your moral line is to have the ends justify the means.
Right.
And those crazy Trump supporters had that same line in their heads. They just were literally delusional. But I don't know. It's all very fascinating. It's fascinating that I was able to be in Turkey and have that experience and then have it happen here in the US in a different, almost the exact opposite way.
Has Enes Kanter commented on storming the Capitol?
The one thing I saw on Twitter, so Enes Kanter is an NBA player in Turkey who's basically like excommunicated and hiding because Erdogan literally, like, I think a few years ago, right? We were talking about this on the show. He tried to take him from the airport in Hungary. Like he revoked his passport while he was in transit in like Hungary and tried to do like a CIA, like after 9/11, the CIA would like send black ops teams and like kidnap guys and jet them back to their country. He tried to like get Hungary to like hand him over. So then a US senator, I can't remember who, I think a Republican, but I can't remember, gave him like a visa, like a permanent residency visa while he's in Hungary. And then we got him to the US. But he just all Enes said was that Turkey was, so everyone was just dunking on the United States, foreign countries. So like Russia was saying like, oh, the US doesn't have a democracy and all this stuff. And then Turkey, that's also not democratic, it's run by a strong man. They were like, oh, like, we're really worried, but we think the US is going to like make it out of this okay. And he's just like, wow, like Turkey's just dunking on this. This is ridiculous for Turkey to be like tweeting about this.
Turkey's like Russia, right? Where they say they have elections, but they don't really have elections.
No, they have much more elections than Russia. So like, for example, AKP, which is Erdogan's party, they lost the mayorship in Istanbul for the first time in like a really long time because that's where Erdogan was mayor. Okay. They lost to the secular party like a couple years back.
Okay.
And the coup attempt was in 2016. So I want to say last year, 2019, they lost the mayorship of Istanbul, which is a big deal.
Yeah, right.
That's like their New York City, DC, everything combined.
Right.
So no, they have real elections. It's just very contentious. And I'm sure there's corruption within those elections, but they're much more real than Russia, where it's like 80-20.
Okay. I didn't know if it was that aggressive of like.
No, it's
Russia.
Not that aggressive. Not at all. It's like sort of, it's interesting. Like I've heard from some people in the intelligence community, like I've heard both ways, like Erdogan his time could be up soon. So we'll see.
That's crazy.
Eyes open.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, what do we got? We got another crazy transition. NBA. So this week we promised to everyone that Connor was going to give his big prediction of the year. He's been famous for making one bold prediction for the NBA and just nailing it. So Connor, give us it.
All right, I got two. So one of them is you can listen back, and I kind of said this to begin this season. I think the Kings are making the playoffs. So that's my first one, which I said that to start the season. I said, watch out for the Kings. And I think they've backed it up now the first couple of games of the season. So that's not just a recency bias. I think they actually have a good chance. Now, my bold prediction, and again, this is based on how I've seen them play so far this year. I think the Knicks make the playoffs.
The Knicks?
I think the Knicks make the playoffs.
Okay.
I think that
you should say more about that because it's been so dysfunctional. Even people they know, like they're just the worst.
Yeah. So I think that they look a lot better right now. They have some players. I think Tom Thibodeau came in and he always gets guys to come in and play hard and they always look good. Now he always burns guys out. And so it's not going to
run them into the floor. They're 5-3.
100%. Yeah. They're going to get run into the floor, but they get
shorter
run into the
season.
floor. It's a shorter season.
Get to 82 games or 72. I don't even.
We'll see.
If it's shorter, that's good for them.
Totally. But I think they're not going to get burnt into the ground in year one. It's going to be next year or the year after that they're going to look bad. The other good thing is I'm looking up and down their roster right now, and they have like 3 guys that are old. I guess they just today signed. Who did they just sign? They just signed an old guy right now, but
okay. I'll look into it.
Taj Gibson. They just signed Taj Gibson. So
what? He still plays?
Yeah, I know. So they have a few older guys.
Vince Carter's out of the league finally.
I know he's out finally. But yeah, so everybody else, so they got a lot of young guys, and their big contributors are younger guys. So I think that these are guys that are ready to come in and have fresh legs. So I think that'll be helpful. But no, I think this is a team. I think the East is weak this year. I don't think that they're super deep. Again, it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out. It's such a weird season. And I think, we've already seen it with Brooklyn, right? KD got COVID and he was out for 4 games. That can cripple a team, especially a team if you're dependent on just one superstar. So if you're a team that has only one good player, you can get killed by COVID. So, yeah. You look at the East right now and it's wide open. There is not any team. The Sixers are really good. The teams at the top are pretty good, but kind of that middle range of you look at like kind of 5 through 12, any of those teams can be good. The Wizards, even on any night, could be pretty good. So I think that there's a lot of fun, in the NBA this year. I'm excited. Tonight we have the Ball Bowl. So we have Lonzo Ball versus LaMelo Ball. That'll be exciting. That's actually happening in 30 minutes. So whoever's listening to this, it's probably already happened. But Lonzo versus LaMelo at 4:30 West Coast time today. Will be fun on ESPN. And then I think the Lakers, not even a bold prediction, but Lakers repeat. I don't think that's even going to be close. They're so much better than every other team. It's not even going to be close this year.
Yeah, but who's not making the playoffs with all these new teams in? Like the Magic, they were the 8 last year, but you got Magic, Knicks, Nets.
Yeah, Raptors are horrible. Raptors are horrible. I think the Cavs are in it. So if you're looking right now, Cavs are in it. They're not going to make it. I think that, the Heat might be able to squeak in there. So there's a lot going on in it.
I loved the Heat last year. I'm not as close of an NBA fan. Are they on the outs looking in for this year?
No, I don't think they are, but I don't think they're as good as they looked last year in the playoffs. I think they looked really good in the playoffs last year, and I think they still have that ability of over a 7-game series to be good because they present some matchup problems, but I don't think they're super dominant. I'm trying to see which of these teams. I can't even tell which. Oh, yeah. I think the Raptors are the team that's going to miss the playoffs this year, and I think instead of them, the Knicks are going to make it. That is my prediction, but I think, again, there's always puts and takes of who's making it right now. The Magic look awesome, but can they stay good? The Pacers look awesome. Can they stay good? Those are 2 teams that I could definitely see dropping off and dropping out of the playoffs. But when you start hot like this, and especially in a shortened season, it makes a difference, right? And so starting off 6-2 is pretty helpful when, you might not be in there because you come down at the stretch. I think that, that definitely helps you.
Well, the Suns haven't just started 6-2. Didn't they win like 6 or 7 straight to end the playoff or end the last
they went undefeated
season, then barely missed the playoffs?
Yeah, they went undefeated in the bubble, and then they got screwed on like a last-second shot to not make it into the playing game. They've looked awesome. They look great. I think they're a really good team, and I said that from the beginning of the year. I think they're really good, but I think that's another problem in the West. Like who drops out of this, right? What team that made the playoffs last year drops out? I think the Mavs. The Mavs are currently out of the playoffs. Again, we're 8 games into the season, so let's caveat all of this. But the Mavs are out of the playoffs right now, and it's like they're going to make the playoffs. The Nuggets are out of the playoffs, so they're probably going to make the playoffs. The Rockets probably are going to make the playoffs. So then it's like, okay, which of these?
Yeah, where's the room for your Kings? You just said 3 teams that are out of the playoffs are going to make it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I think it's pretty crazy. You look at right now, there's like 6 teams that are 4-4 in the West right now. So it's just about how those goes. So I think what's going to happen is I think the Kings are going to make the playoffs, and I think a good team that should make the playoffs is going to miss it. Now I don't know who that might be. I think the most likely of that group that I said that's going to make it is the Rockets, especially if James Harden gets traded. But we'll keep seeing. I've watched a good amount of NBA, but I think as soon as NFL season ends, and to be honest, really after Wildcard weekend where there's not as many games going on, I'm going to kind of lock back into the NFL or to the NBA during the week. So I'm excited. I've watched a lot of Lakers, and again, they just look dominant when they want to. They're just better than every other team. So it's not even fair.
All right. Well, that's what we've said. The problem is with NCAA football too. Who you got in the championship game Monday?
Bama. Not even close.
Me too. And it's the same problem, right?
Yeah. Bama's just better than everybody else. It's not even close. And I think Jalen Waddle's coming back, which is terrifying. So that's going to be insane. They're so good.
I know. I'm excited to see what Miami's going to do with their picks. NFL draft. Am I more excited for the NFL draft and for the NBA and for the NCAA football? I might be.
Yeah, you are. So, okay. If you are the Dolphins, do you trade your 2 first rounders and Tua for Deshaun Watson?
Wow.
You have like number 3 and number 17 and Tua for Deshaun Watson.
Can I just trade one? I got to do both.
Sure, but I'm saying
what do you think that the Texans will do? They're known for undervaluing players.
Yeah, but Bill O'Brien's not there anymore. It's Nick Cassero, who's the guy from the Patriots. So I think he's a lot better. It's going to take a lot. So I don't know what it's going to take, but to be honest, even with all of that, or if you said the number 3 pick this year, a first round pick next year, or you just give the Texans back their picks, the number 3 this year and their second round pick this year, and Tua. Would you do that? A first, so number 3, number 35, and Tua for Deshaun Watson, do you do it? Who would say no in that situation?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I would absolutely say yes.
But NFL is so competitive. It's stressful to think about. Like, the goal is to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but imagine how good that
Miami
Dolphins
already has
team was.
A good team. Like, I know. The Niners have a stacked team, and they got the Super Bowl with Jimmy G.
I know, but imagine this Dolphins team if they had Deshaun Watson back there. That team's insane.
They are.
So that's what I think.
There's a lot of insane teams. There's the Chiefs.
I know.
It's brutal. It's a brutal sport. It's super competitive, and that's why we enjoy it.
Yep. I agree.
I don't know. I just think that the Niners you could go both ways. The Niners got the Super Bowl with Jimmy G, and giving up those talent. Every player matters in the NFL.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Spitting Fire. Enjoy your wildcard round games.
All right. Love it. See you
guys.
What
a podcast, everyone.
Love it. See you guys.